Any integration or data migration project needs to get data from different sources, process it, and store it. So, connecting to external applications is a necessary functionality. In this video, you will learn how to manage connections to external applications with the Credentials Manager component and how to use them in a process. Now, let's get back to our process to see how it works. Our demo process requires emails and SMS notifications to be sent out. We created 3 different actions in our process. 1. Call API, and 2. Send email. Now it's time to configure those actions, and we'll start with the Call API. When we select the Call API action, a configuration window opens on the right side of the screen, and as you can see, the Select API configuration file is mandatory. When we click on it, we see the list is empty as no API configuration has been created yet. To create one, we close the process workspace and go to the Credentials Manager. Here we click Add New to create our first new configuration. In the new window, there are 2 mandatory fields. The first is Name, so we add Alerts Due Invoice SMS here, and the second is Credentials Type, and we need to select a value from the drop-down list. In this case, and probably in most cases, we will choose REST API, as this is the de facto standard for applications integration. We click Next Step, and in the new window, we add the information provided by the service provider in their API documentation. We will copy and paste the required fields, URL, test endpoint, authentication method, key, value. Last, we check the Query Parameters box and test the connection. It works! After we save it, we can see that it's validated on the Configurations page. We get back to our process. Select the Call API action, and in the side window, we select our newly created configuration. We click on Configure Request to finish the configuration for this specific process. Again, we use the information provided by the service vendor. We add first the verb and the endpoint. Then we need to add the phone number we send the SMS to and the message. In the Query Parameters tab, we add the To key, and as value, we select the phone number attribute of the invoice variable that we defined when we set up the ForEach action. Next, we add the Body key. In the value field, we could add another variable or write the message text directly. For our demo, we chose the latter. To do this, we activate the multi-line editing option by clicking on the A icon next to the value field. Then we select the field, and the text editing window opens. We write the message here. One tip: if you want to add the value of some variables into your text, press the Insert key, and the variables window will pop up. After we finish the message, we close the window, and as per SMSO API documentation, we add another key and the required value. We close the configuration window, and with that, we finish the Call API configuration. Next, we are going to set up the Send Email actions. Of course, we can send out emails using the Call API action, but in some situations, using an SMTP server might be handy. So for this example, we choose the second option to showcase it. When we select the first Send Email action, the configuration window opens, and we can see here that to configure it, we need first to choose an SMTP server. Let's set it up. We close the process workspace, and we access the Credentials Manager again. We click Add New, provide a name, and in the Credential Type field, we select SMTP Server Configuration. Clicking the Next Step button takes us to the Server Configuration window. Here we need to add the connection details for the SMTP server we are going to use. In our case, we use the Gmail server, so we add the information provided by Google. We test the connection, and as it is successful, we save it and move back to our process to continue the Send Email action setup. We select the first one to configure. We use this action to send messages to inform the customers that the invoice's due date is approaching. We select the action, and in the detail window that opens, we add the newly created connection in the Select SMTP Server field. Then we click on the Send Email button to add the message details. Here we fill in From, To, Subject, and Body fields. In each field, we can add a mix of text and variables values. In our specific case, we use the value of some attributes of the invoice variable because we want to personalize the message. When we're happy with it, we close the window. Now we do the same for the second send email action that will send an email to the process owner with information about the steps taken. We select the same SMTP connection and we set up the message. For the to field, we decided to create a variable that stores the email address. After customizing all fields as wanted, we close the window, and with that, we finish setting up the connections we use in our demo process. To recap, we created one connection using the REST API configuration that we used in our call API action, and one SMTP server configuration that we used in the send email actions. Now it's time to create the subprocess we use in the call subprocess action to validate the phone number format, so please jump to the custom actions video.